You said you kind of used to being called names and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When did it hit you that people are saying bad things about me because I'm black? Like, I remember, you grew up with it all the time. I grew up in Long Island. I remember the first time it hurt. In North Amityville, we had our own firehouse, volunteer fire department. We put our own fires out in our part of town. And so we joined the Drum and Bugle Corps that they had there. So Drum and Bugle Corps, predominantly black. Some of my white friends were in it. We had a ball. And we went out and we did a parade in Long Island. And I remember we're doing a parade and they're calling us, all the names. And that was the first time, I was probably 15. That's the first time it like penetrated me. That's the first time I was angry and hurt at the same time. Like, they really dislike me because of my skin. When did you, it wasn't just, jeering from the audience. When did you realize that there's like venom coming at me for this?
It was way younger than that. I mean, if you played hockey, you're gonna encounter that stuff. At least I did back when I was playing. So it's called the SHA, the Scarborough Hockey Association, our local league. I didn't encounter anything, but when we played other teams and tournaments. So I always had another black player on my team.
Oh, okay.
It's just weird. I look back and I hear other people's stories and they're like, I was the only black player on my team. I was like, nah, man, I had Michael Henry, I had Dean Archibald, I had Kevin Weeks, I had Jamal Mayers.
You played with Kevin Weeks?
I played Weeks, yeah.
And Mayers?
Yeah, and Jamal Mayers, yeah.
Wow.
I had 5 black players and I played Wexford Raiders and won the junior championship.
Wow.
So it was always there, another black player with me, but I was always aware of what was going on, and part of it is because my parents, too. My parents always taught myself, my brother, my sister, this is the world we live in. And you're going to have people out there who are going to hate on you because of the color of your skin. You're going to play this game of hockey. Not many black folks are playing hockey because in the Caribbean, the only time we talk about ice is in our drinks. So just be aware this is what you're getting yourself into. And don't let it discourage you. So I would have players say stuff to me, and it would just fuel that fire. Like, you have no idea how many times I would just, if the score's 5-0 in the third period, normally in hockey you take your foot off the gas pedal. Something's been said to me on the ice, it's 12-0 before you could even blink your eyes, and I had the next 7 goals.
Wow.
Or a coach would say something to me, or a parent, and that's when it kind of hit home the first time, when a coach or parent says something, because my parents always told me that kids could be ignorant, they might not know better, but adults should know better. And
I think that's why it got me that one time.
Yeah.
Because there was grown people throwing beer bottles and saying things. We're like, we're playing music. It's supposed to be a celebration, and that's the first time you heard it, but that's the first time it really hurt me.
I was prepared for it. I wasn't really affected by it. I think because my parents set us up that way and let us know that you're going to hear this stuff. People are going to call you stuff based on the color of your skin. They don't even know who you are. They don't know you, that your character, but they're still going to hate on you just because of that. But don't let it affect the way another person that looks like them, how you treat them.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So if a white person says, hey, Anson, calls some racial slur, I'm not going to meet the next white person and say, well, you're just like that person over there.
Everybody with that broad brush.
That's not how we're raised.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So when I went to Russia, when we had the year that we're locked out in 2005, and I'm in front of the net, and I'm sitting there, and I hear ptink, and a banana bounces off my shin pad.
Wow.
And I just hammered it in the net, and then afterwards, I think it was E.J. Raddick might have been with us on the trip, and he was like, Ace, did I just see a banana hit your shin pad? I'm like, yeah, E.J. And he's like, that's kind of messed up. I was like, well.
Wow. Even there?
Yeah, I go, but you know what? I go, those people could throw bananas all they want because you walk around the corner and there's a bread line.
Right.
Okay, so those same people throwing bananas at me, my life is 1,000 times better than those people. I would never trade who I am for what there are at any point in my life.
Wow.
So if you're going to focus your energy on hating on me, that's less energy you're focused on making yourself better as a person.
Right.
So I just keep it moving.
So in Toronto, does the Caribbean community really get behind you guys? They take a lot of pride in seeing you guys when you're out there?
They do, but it's being more prevalent now because of social media. It's out there, so you could spread that word. You could amplify that a little bit easier. But back then you couldn't. So I wasn't really sure who knew what I was doing. Not that I was really concerned because I'm doing it for me, not for anybody else. But it would always be nice when I'd hear from my friends, even I see them today, that friends I haven't seen for years that went to high school. They're like, yo, man, guess what? My son or my daughter's playing hockey. And I'm like, you stopped playing? Because in Toronto, all black kids, people of color, didn't matter what color you were, we all played hockey.
Wow.
But you get to high school, everyone stopped because hockey wasn't black enough. So they played basketball and football and baseball or whatever. And I played those sports too, but I still love playing hockey. So those same friends that stopped playing hockey, it's amazing because they'd say, my daughter's playing now, my son's playing now. I'm like, how come? They're like, because we see you playing and you've stuck with it. And so I'm telling them, don't get discouraged because I went to school with Anson. He played the game at his highest level. And there's no guarantee you're going to get there. But if you love the game, don't let anybody tell you not to love it. Keep doing
I
it.
definitely remember being a fan, and like I went to Hampton University, HBCU, you know, the best HBCU. Sorry, Kamala and everybody else.
Like people back at Morehouse are like, what?
Listen, I'm sorry, I know the A is great, but Hampton. And I remember like sneaking off trying to watch playoff games or going to see an ECHL game because Olaf Kolzig was a hot prospect playing in the Tidewater area. And there was nobody around to kind of share that fandom, whether even that interest with. But you said you had friends of yours that were around you that you got to play with. And did you feel part of the hockey community as you were coming up?
I did, but I wasn't hockey 24/7. I mean, I played baseball too. So I went to Michigan State. My plan was to play hockey and baseball there.
Oh, wow.
And I played basketball. Like I won our first city championship at Agent Corps. I was our point guard there. So I played hoops. So I wouldn't really talk hockey with my friends. Like my friends were so surprised that I was going to Michigan State in a hockey scholarship. They thought I was going to basketball or baseball scholarship. They had no idea I played hockey at the level I played at. It's just I was really good at it. I loved it. I just kept going.
Have you ever felt like I'm black, but the black community doesn't embrace me? Or for example, I live in Harlem, took my sons to go see a Knicks player. Wasn't a starter, but he was on the Knicks. That's all that mattered. And the line was wrapped around the block. And we waited in line to get this guy's autograph. We have pictures with him. And you are, I mean, you've played around the world, won World Cups, played in the NHL. You're one of the national faces of the NHL right now. And you could probably walk down 125th Street right now and go undeterred. Do you feel like, where's my acceptance?
No, I actually like that.
You like the anonymity?
That's why I lived in California for years in the off season. I never lived in Toronto just because I could just go and do me and train and hang out, and no one's gonna be all over me. Say, hey, that's Anson Carter there, that's Anson there. I could just do whatever I want to do. And my friends always said to me, like, why'd you cut the locks for? People can't recognize us. Exactly. I like moving in the shadows in the background.
Okay.
And that's cool with me. That's okay. You know, I'd appreciate if the black community knew how much of an impact black players have in the NHL.
Right.
Because the first time we opened up the NHL's Black Mobile History Museum, a lot of black folks would walk around MSG, and we had it set up right there. And people just walking in off the street like, wow, we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't even know black people played hockey. Like that's what, to me, is a travesty that the black community doesn't understand there's black players that play.
Right.
Or hear stuff like, oh, they're not really black. They're not really black. What do you mean they're not really black?
Oh my goodness.
Or I listen to them and they say, well, they don't really sound black when they're talking. And that's one of the microaggressions that I hate. I hear people say, well, Anson, you don't really sound black, so you're not really black. Well, what does sounding black mean?
I've grown up with that.
Does it mean you can't put a sentence together? Does it mean that you don't have proper grammar? Does it mean that you sound illiterate? Like, what does sounding black really mean to you?
Exactly.
And then people take a step back like, oh, I never thought about that.
Right. I've grown up with the exact same thing. You know, I use slang when I'm with my friends, but in general conversation, this is how you're going to hear me speak. And so often, you know, or you get the backwards compliment. You're so well spoken.
Yes.
As though it's a shock that I can put two sentences together.
Exactly.
Like, oh my gosh, my wife has a master's degree in 18th century British literature. Like, my father-in-law is a professional opera singer. He sung at the Met. Like, and so people, I think that you want to put people because of their color in a box. And this is either you're in this box or you don't belong. Rather than saying, you know, we're all who we are, and you're black because you are. Not because of, you know, your language or the shoes you wear or anything surface. Like, we're black because we are.